Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of this series inside Unreal Engine. Today we're going to be looking at some basic modeling skills that we can use to prototype our levels and, create some cool things within the engine. All right, so let's kick it off. I'm going to assume you already have Unreal Engine installed. You do so through the Epic Games launcher. I'm using version 5.5, but this should work on whatever you're using. Let's go ahead and go to our Games tab over here once we open Unreal, and then we're going to click Third Person Template. And on the right here, we're going to want to make sure we have Blueprints enabled and Starter Content checked. So let's go ahead and name this something like Modeling Tutorial. You can name this whatever you would like. That's just what I'm going to call it. All right, once our editor opens up, we get a basic level that Unreal Engine has put together for us. There's a lot of stuff going on the screen if you haven't seen Unreal before. But let's go ahead and start with some of the basics and not worry about all of this. We'll break it down step by step. So let's go ahead and go up to this top left. This is the first thing we're going to do, and hit edit. We're going to go down to plugins and we're going to search modeling. We're going to click this modeling tools editor mode. Make sure this is checked. Exit out of this screen, and we're going to hit file and then save all. And then we're going to go ahead and close out of Unreal and restart it. And once we open it back up, we should go to the selection mode, and under here we should see a modeling tab. All right, so this gives us some pretty useful tools that we can use to kind of design our world. Let's go ahead and hit the box, and then once we click that, it'll give us a cube that we can drag out here into the world. If I click again, it'll place the object. And let's go ahead, I can adjust the width, depth, and the height to whatever we want. And those are the basic kind of features that we can do in here. And then the second thing I'm going to go over is the material. We can go ahead and change this to something, I don't know, like not that. Let's go ahead and do like a stone or something. There we go. So there are some other features. I'm just going to go over the ones that really you should know to start off with. All right, so here's our little cube. Now, inside Unreal, there are these tools that you're going to be using your entire journey inside this engine. And they're all up here in the top part of the viewport. The first one is going to be the Select tool. And you can click up here or press Q. And it's going to basically select whatever is in this world, and it'll give us information about that inside our details panel over here. All right. The next thing is going to be the Move tool. I can click up here, press W, and it pops up these little arrows. And if I click on this arrow, it'll highlight, and I can move it around the axis that I have selected. Okay, and if I click in the middle, see I have both of these arrows highlighted. I can drag it around the X and the Y axis. Pretty neat. The next thing is the Rotate tool. I can press E, and I can go ahead and rotate the object the way I want. And if I rotated it, let's say, let's say anything that I do on the engine, if I made a mistake, I did something I didn't want to have happen, I can go ahead and press Control Z, and it will undo what I just previously did. So that's a useful tool. The next thing is going to be the Rotate tool. So I can press R, not the rotate. This is going to be the scaling tool. So I can resize this. So it kind of stretches with the texture. I'll kind of go over that, but you see how it's kind of stretched out? There's some things that we can do with that with the texture, but for now, it's all right. So that's just to resize it to a shape that we want. The next thing, little tool, I mean, this isn't really a tool, but if I go over to the move tool, I can press W and I hold Alt and I move this, it'll actually duplicate the object out if I just drag it. So if I hold Alt and I drag it out, it'll make a copy of whatever I have selected. And if I have something that I don't want anymore, I can go ahead and press select it. And let's say I wanted to shift click all these boxes and I have them all selected. By shift clicking, I press backspace or delete, it'll delete all those objects that I don't want anymore. Okay. The next thing we're going to look at is the stairs. So I have our stairs here. There's a few objects here, options. There's linear, floating, basically just hovering, curved, and curved with the spiral is hovering. So I can control how many steps there are, the width, the height, the angle of the spiral, and the inner radius, the size of the circle in the middle. So those are all the features that we can do with this. I can hit accept, and I can still drag this around just like we did with the other, and also rotate it and do whatever we need to. So there's that. The next useful tool that we're going to be looking at is the cube grid. If I hit this, you can look at the floor. It's kind of has a tint, and if I hover my cursor over one of these cubes, it'll highlight it. And if I drag click, it'll actually select all these different cubes. And what's really cool is if I press E, I can actually push these cubes out and add them on. And the cubes I added on, I can just kind of model around and just kind of create some a basic floor or whatever that I need. I can drag on here. And if you've ever played Minecraft, this is a similar kind of a style that you can use to create really cool worlds and stuff. So here we can kind of use this to kind of see what our level would look like before we start adding in some more detailed I guess meshes like 3D models and stuff. So that's really useful. Let's say I went ahead and made a little tower here and I made it a little too tall. If I press Q, it'll actually take that away. So likewise, if I select these two here and wanted to make it a little door, I just press Q. And let's press Q again, and there I have a little door. All right, let's hit accept, and there's our model. And there we are. Let's go ahead. That's pretty much the cube grid. You can use that a lot to make some really cool designs for your level. The next thing we're going to be looking at is the extrude path and extrude polygon. Extrude, let's look at the extrude polygon first. If I click this, our cursor will be yellow with a little green dot, and I can go ahead and click a point and it'll drag out a line, or if I click another point, it'll start letting me draw out this kind of shape. And to finish this, I got to connect it to the starting point wherever I started, and click it, and it'll give me this option to create a shape. Before I do that though, it's making me drag my mouse in order to select the height of this shape. So let's go ahead and click right here, and if we like what we have, let's go ahead and hit complete, and there is our object. So you can kind of design some pretty cool shapes and stuff that whatever you want to add into your world, you can get pretty creative with it. The next thing we're going to look at is the extrude path. Similarly, you can kind of draw a shape out and just paint out a border, and it'll give us the option to adjust the width first. So however wide I want it, and then it'll give me the option to see the height. So let's go ahead and scale the height to that, and we're gonna hit complete. And so you can go ahead and like make some pretty easy walls with this, or even like you know, just like a hallway, you know, however you want that. So these are some pretty interesting tools that you can use. Just get creative and start building kind of your level with this. Okay, so now that we have learned some basic modeling skills, I went ahead and put together this little level here, and we can actually test this out. If we go over to our green play button and press play, we can actually have our character run inside the level and test it out. Now you can already make a fully fledged little obstacle course game here and, you know, play it out. So that's my task to you, is you just create a simple level and just kind of prototype it, get familiar with the engine, and I don't even know what that is, but yeah, just kind of play around and familiarize yourself with some of the tools that you have access to now. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.